If you want to give us a honk. Welcome to episode 5 of Excuse the Mess. We're halfway through series 1 now, and the guest this time is Mark Lockheart, a British saxophonist and composer. His career spans many a decade, and he's been at the forefront of the British jazz scene, playing with the likes of Tubes, Billy Jenkins and Kenny Wheeler, to name a few, as well as crossing over into places where genre is harder to define, like his work with Polar Bear, which, by the way, is being played underneath a track called Be Free. He also ventures into the world of contemporary classical from time to time, particularly his work with the composer Mark Anthony Turnage. In recent days, Mark has been writing and recording a new album, Brave World, a full orchestral jazz album that features a number of leading jazz musicians Mark has forged relationships with over the years. We talk about a number of these great projects and the albums he's written, and how the experience of being in Polar Bear has shaped the way that he approaches music, as well as other influences. Excuse the Mess is gratefully supported by Noted Fellowship, Arts Council England and PRS Foundation. So we had a great day chatting and creating a new piece together. We hope that you enjoy checking it out. Remember to subscribe to keep up with more episodes and to tell your musicy friends all about Excuse the Mess. Mark kicks us off by telling us a little bit more about Brave World, which will be released later this year.
I mean, it was something I kind of wanted to do for a while. I was hearing, because I've always written for larger scale things, you know, I've written big band music, and my first album that I ever did was a kind of 12-piece band, which was a bit economically a bit silly. I should have just done a quartet album like everyone else.
Yeah.
But I had a kind of big band, and then I had to tour it, you know. So I've always loved orchestration and colours and lots of people. So yeah, I've been thinking about it for a while, and then about 2.5 years ago I started to fiddle around with a few ideas and just start arranging very small ideas before I had lots of thematic music.
So you were sort of working out what the sound of it could be in a smaller.
I think the sound world was important, yeah. And I didn't want it to be pastiche in any way. I didn't want it to be. I mean, I love lots of music, like you know. I love kind of lush writing, and I love angular writing. I love Gil Evans, but I didn't want to try and copy anyone.
Was there a concept behind it all, or was it sort of you just had some stuff in your head that you just needed to get down?
Yeah, no, there is a concept. It's kind of about people, really, and about human and our planet in a very loose sense. So there's some of the titles, Believers. It's kind of about people who believe in fundamentalism and all that stuff, which I find very annoying and upsetting. Brave World is just about our fragile world that seems to hold up and be very brave, and so there's kind of loose things. Long Way Gone is that's about an African child soldier. Actually, there's a book called Long Way Gone, so I kind of read that, and it's an amazing story about this kid who's forced into a child soldier in Sierra Leone, and he comes out of it eventually. It all works out for him. He moves to the States, and he writes this book. So there's this kind of journey. And as I was mixing it with my mate the other day, he said, "This is very, very joyous, some of this music, you know." And I never really thought of it like that, but I thought, oh, actually, yeah, it probably is. I'm quite optimistic.
I thought that.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's nice, because I'm pretty, I like life.
Yeah. And here's a little extract of Believers from Mark's upcoming album, Brave World. And now, Long Way Gone.
I mean, the other thing is, a lot of this is inspired and guided by the whole Polar Bear experience, even though it might not seem that way listening to it. I mean, it obviously doesn't sound like Polar Bear, but from the very beginning of thinking about this, I wanted Seb.
That's Seb Rochford.
And Tom
Herbert. Both were members of Polar Bear.
To do their thing.
Yeah.
They have an amazing way of pacing something and playing on something and making it grow and not forcing it, you know.
Were they involved in the writing of it, or did you leave space for them to have a say once you got to the actual recording of it?
They weren't involved in the writing, but I wanted Seb to come up with his own thing, so I didn't really write him any drum parts. I just gave him a bass part and said, these are the hits. I love what they do on it, and I learnt a lot about music working in Polar Bear, because we all saw music in kind of slightly different ways. Leaf Cutter was amazing. He doesn't read music, but he has a whole kind of thing that is the way he hears music. It's wonderful, you know.
Yeah. He's a brilliant contemporary composer and thinker.
He
I've seen
is.
so much amazing stuff from him, and he's a brilliant improviser as
yeah,
well.
He's brilliant, yeah.
You don't need necessarily that traditional background in any way.
No. And I learnt a lot when we were playing, and we would play for a long time sometimes. You know, we played tunes for a long time, especially towards the end. We'd have these very long tunes that were very open, and we'd improvise and just take it in kind of areas, you know.
WW from Polar Bear's Mercury-nominated album In Each and Every One.
That band went through so many different phases, you know. Every album really was a different thing. I mean, all that came from Seb. He had a kind of concept about each record, and often we didn't know how to approach it. It took us a while to learn how to work together and approach the concept. And I remember on one occasion he said, this was after the second album or the third album, he said, I don't want any jazz language in the music. And we all kind of scratched our heads, especially me, coming from a jazz background. What's he talking about, you know?
So how'd you get around that?
Yeah, but I mean, and it was a difficult thing, because we were kind of playing jazz language. The first two records are quite jazzy. We soon realised what he meant. He didn't really want any jazz. He wanted pure improvisation, but he didn't want jazz kind of patterns or that feel in it. He wanted something else. Going back to Brave World, I feel like that's why I love the way Liam plays, is he doesn't do that.
Liam being Liam Noble, a pianist that Mark has worked with over the years.
I mean, he'll play stuff from the tradition, so he's very into Monk, and he's very into, well, he's into everyone. But he'll never put it together like that. He'll always change it and deconstruct that information in his own way. And that's what I try and do, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I love so many saxophone players. I've got thousands of records and CDs at home. well, not thousands, but 1,000.
Millions.
Millions.
Fine. No,
Trillion,
yeah.
actually. You can come over and have a look
Your
at my
house is
trillion
made out of
records.
Yeah.
But I've never been interested in playing it exactly like that. There's no point.
It's been done.
It's been done, and you're never going to do it as good.
Yeah.
You know, you might as well just try and do your own thing, even. Yeah.
Well, actually, that kind of brings me on to thinking about Ellington in Anticipation, which was your album in 2013. Is that right? Is that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a fantastic record, and conceptually,
Thanks,
it's
mate.
very clear and direct. You know what you're going to get. It must have been a rich pool of material to try and reimagine.
Yeah, I mean, he wrote thousands and thousands of pieces, and he was always writing. He was writing on the bus, on tour. He was, there's stories of him writing on hotel rooms on a piece on napkins and things like that. Classic kind of jazz stories.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of material. I guess it was just trying to find tunes that for one reason or other, I felt I could do an interpretation of.
Did you find it a bit daunting in some ways to take on that project? Maybe there's some purists out there that might give you some hate for it.
Yeah, well, I did actually think that, and I think there are some purists out there who...
You're blacklisted.
Yeah, I did think, I hope I don't upset too many Ellington. I mean, the trouble with jazz music, particularly in this country, is people get very almost religious about it.
Yeah.
For me, jazz has always been about experimenting, and I look at all the people that have been pioneers. They've all done that. So I don't know why they all get upset when you go to...
Who are they protecting it for? These people that are now dead but actually would be encouraging of all this stuff if they were alive.
Well, exactly. I mean, Ellington was a radical. He experimented all the time, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Tearing his music apart. But yeah, that was really good fun, that project. And again, Seb and Tom were very important to that. That was the first thing I'd done with them out of Polar Bear. Again, the grooves that Seb came up with were all his,
There's one which starts off with Seb grooving.
Yeah.
I think some bass clarinet.
My Caravan, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic feel, that, and the way it evolves. And that's called My Caravan because it's based on Caravan, but very loosely.
Yeah.
And the tune doesn't come in until the end.
Yeah.
And it's a quote, really, more than the tune.
It's like remixing.
Yeah, I mean, it is really like remixing. It's the same process, isn't it? I mean, I think arranging, it's interesting because, people in jazz, people talk about arranging, but I think when arranging crosses over into remixing or recomposing,
It's composing again. Then,
I think it's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's like Gil Evans, that music, like the Hendrix stuff, and then the stuff that Gil did with Porgy and Bess. That's kind of recomposing. It's more than just arranging, isn't it? I think.
Definitely. Yeah.
Because he's got his own whole sound world.
Actually, I did want to ask you about general influences and which composers you like to steal from?
Ellington, obviously. I love Django Bates's music. He was, and still is, a big influence. His writing, I think he's amazing. I kind of like all kinds of, but I like Frank Zappa.
Yes, big Zappa fan.
Yeah, I think the thing is, people say these things. You say what your influences, and then someone says, "Well, I don't hear any of that in it." Often you get inspired by the concepts more than the actual notes.
Yeah,
or the so I love so many people. Kenny Wheeler. I love Radiohead's writing. I mean, with orchestration, obviously the last couple of years I've kind of listened with an ear open for a lot of things because of this piece that I'm writing. So I really like Turnage. I think he's a great orchestrator, and I like people like Klaus Ogerman, obviously Gil Evans. I think Vince Mendoza's great. Maria Schneider's really good. But I like Ellington. I like the starkness of Ellington because there's a kind of thing. Ellington's music never sounds kind of smooth. It's always got an edge. So there's a concept that I love. The fact that it's always got an edge.
You mentioned two things there: Radiohead and Mark Anthony Turnage. This is great because I get to possibly have another Radiohead track in another podcast. The last one had 4.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, so you played on Kid A, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you were on National Anthem, like
just on one track.
For it.
Yeah, all of us was. I think there's 6 of us, seven horns on there, all blowing away.
Did you get any notation for that? Because it sounds a bit like just walk in and do it.
Yeah, no, we didn't. I mean, we went in and Tom York just had that bass riff, in mind. Which the baritone plays. And then he said he wanted it to sound a bit like Mingus because he really likes Mingus. They wanted us to improvise kind of wildly and they wanted us to stick out. So at times I can hear who everyone is.
Right, yeah.
Get little bits. Coincidentally reminds me of the way Ellington is. You know that thing, you listen to Ellington, they don't blend like a normal big band. You hear all the sounds sticking out of Johnny Hodges and Paul Gonzalez. Yeah, because they've all got distinct sounds. And Mingus was like that, and I think that's kind of what they wanted.
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting way to approach who you pick as well, which is clearly what you do.
Yeah.
Make sure you've got these strong identities.
Strong identities, yeah. I think generics out. Being generics is out in my book.
Yeah, definitely.
Strong identities.
Yeah.
But just finishing that Radiohead thing off, so we did that. We did the recording.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, a few months later, we got a call and saying, would we do some gigs?
Oh.
And it was like, yeah. What, on one number? And the manager said, yeah, one number. And then he said, do you want to go to New York? I said, you want? Yeah.
For one tune.
So we went to New York. We went to New York for a week. And Kid A had gone ballistic by this time.
Okay.
And they were really surprised. So it was like #1 album in the States or something.
Yeah.
And we played on the first number of the gig. Okay. And that was it. We just kind of hung out the rest of the time.
Sick. Just briefly tell us about working with Mark Anthony Turnage.
Oh, Turnage, yeah. So I know him. I met him in Tunbridge Wells. I used to live in Tunbridge Wells, and
Okay.
we used to go to the pub and get pissed.
Great.
The first thing I did for him, he'd written a piece for a kind of small saxophone concerto. He'd written it for Joe Lovano, who's a great American sax player. And he said, Joe Lovano can't do it, would you be interested in playing it? And that was with the South Bank Sinfonietta.
Right.
So that was the first thing that I did. So I did all this practice on this piece and then played it, and it was really good. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, and we've always been kind of mates and talk a lot about music. And he works with another saxophone player a lot, who he's done masses with, a guy called Martin Robinson, who's a very brilliant classical sax player. And he said, and we were out having a pint one night, he said, yeah, I'm writing an opera, and I'm going to write it for 2 saxes. So he did. So he put 2 soprano saxophones in his opera.
Yeah.
Really prominent.
Was that Anna Nicole?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did Anna Nicole at the Opera House. And yeah, it was great. Really amazing experience. And I could remember sitting in the pit listening to all this incredible orchestration around me, thinking, oh, this is great, you know. How does he do all this, you know?
Yeah.
And making little notes on a piece of paper about the bits that I really liked.
Okay, yeah.
But he's a really interesting musician, I think, composer, and he loves jazz.
Does, doesn't he?
Respects jazz.
Works a lot with jazz musicians. He did a John Scofield project as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
So what do you find interesting or challenging about being in that setting instead of a jazz, more comfortable?
For me personally,
Yeah.
the biggest challenge I had was following the conductor, because it's like a whole other thing. It's not where the beat, how we hear the beat, how I feel the beat. I still can't work it out what happens.
Yeah.
So the baton comes down and then they come in about half a second later. It's like, how does that work?
I've never understood that.
No, it was. I mean, it's like a mystery to me, really.
Yeah.
Let's party!
A little extract for you here of Mark Anthony Turnage's 2011 opera Anna Nicole. So, In Deep was a hit, wasn't it?
Indeed. It was a minor hit, yeah, as far as you can get in
hit,
the
right?
jazz world.
In the jazz circles, they loved it.
They did like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Got well received, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so In Deep is a quintet album. It was the first time that I'd worked with Liam and Jasper.
Oh, okay.
Actually.
Yeah.
I hadn't played with them before, so and I just phoned them up and said, do you want to do something? So we rehearsed a bit and did a couple of gigs, a gig at the 606, I think, and then somewhere else, the Vortex, and then we recorded the album. And it just worked, the kind of chemistry with everyone, and the drumming on it I love as well. Dave Smith. I'd never worked with him really, and he was amazing. Him and Jasper and Liam. Do
you think that unfamiliarity and newness added something?
Yeah, I think it did, and the vibe in the studio was just really good. And it was a classic case. We had 2 days. First day, we didn't get anything done really.
Okay.
Nothing that we were happy with,
Like that.
It's funny, isn't it?
The studio first day.
Yeah, difficult, and the sound wasn't right, and so we kind of fiddled around, and so we didn't record anything really. We just recorded bits, and then a couple of temps, but that we didn't really like. I didn't like, and then we came back the next day, and we just played it all, the whole album in a day, basically.
Wow.
And I think it was a classic case of not panicking, and just realising that that's sometimes the process. You just settle in. The first day we didn't get anything done, but we settled in, so that was vital.
Yeah.
And then the second day it just all came together, you know.
I mean, to be honest, that sounds like the perfect time to start panicking. It's when half of your studio time has gone down the drain. But maybe it's an important lesson.
Yeah. It's funny because Jasper always says that, he brings that up sometimes, and he said, I remember you were so relaxed.
Yeah.
He said I was very surprised how relaxed you were. I mean, you hadn't done anything. I think I'd done enough things to realise that it sometimes works like that. You know? If you're doing an hour of music, it wouldn't take that long to do an hour. You know, it's like a gig.
Yeah, sure.
If you get a great gig.
Yeah. So did you have some one-take wonders in there then?
Yeah, lots of one-take things. Not all of them, but
there is a real sort of edgy, raucous vibe on that album, definitely.
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
some really beautiful moments and some really things that kind of grab you, shake you a bit.
It's quite hooligan. Some of it. It's quite kind of full-on jazz. Some of it. Certainly the first long track, Surfacing. There's a fantastic piano solo on that, where Liam's just kind of really going for it. And we toured that after that, you know, we did quite a lot of gigs. And I was always planning to do another one of those called In Deeper. But it hasn't happened yet.
Perfect.
It will happen at some point.
That should definitely happen, yeah.
I don't know what the one after that would be. Too deep.
Yeah, too deep. Yeah, too far. Too deep. Just stop.
That's kind of one of the most jazz albums I've done, I think, in a way. In terms of pure jazz, you know, they're kind of playing like that.
A track called Not In My Name from In Deep. The band was made up of Mark on saxes, Dave Prizeman on trumpet, Liam Noble piano, Jasper Høiby on bass and Dave Smith on drums. And here's another band of Mark's, a trio with Jasper Høiby and Liam Noble called Malija. This track is Hung Up.
I mean, we wanted it to be different from a quartet or a trio with drums. So
Yeah.
and it's been quite interesting working without drums because you have to generate a lot of the grooves yourself. And
Yeah.
I love that.
When I heard it at King's Place, I didn't miss the drums
That's right,
anyway because everyone's such a groovy player. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stomping.
Yeah, no, that's nice. It comes across like that. I mean, I think some of the old guard jazz promoters think, what kind of band is that? They don't have drums.
Promoters are fun, aren't they?
So so you fight that a little bit, but I mean,
you've been playing with Liam for quite a while, haven't you?
Yeah.
Lots of projects.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, does he ever surprise you anymore? And do you ever surprise each other on stage?
that's a good question. He always kind of surprises me in a way because he plays such unusual things. I think that's what makes him so special. I mean, there's lots of great pianists,
Yeah.
but I think when he plays, he's so unpredictable musically, and he'll take it into turn a corner and take it into a kind of area that can be anywhere. And I think he's stylistically so free, he doesn't worry about playing in a certain style.
Yeah. So when you're feeding off each other, he'll often push you somewhere unknown.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think we all do that.
Yeah.
In that band a bit, but he like sometimes he might go into a kind of crazy ragtime thing, and then he might go into a bit of kind of Cecil Taylor, and then he might do a kind of minimalist thing. So, and I love that. I love that about the kind of musicians that I play with, that you can go into these things.
Yeah, I guess that's the beauty of a lot of improvised music, isn't it? That you can just be surprised, and if you're playing the same sets most nights, there's so much room for experimentation.
Yeah, and
that sort of thing.
And with that tour, Malija, we had a lot of gigs. We had about 24 gigs, and it changed massively, the music.
Yeah.
From the album, because we did the album before we'd really done any gigs, and that was nice as well. The album has a kind of, there's certain things that happen on the album that wouldn't have happened if we played it loads, because we were approaching it for the first time. So you get a kind of magic in a way from that. But then there's the argument of doing a record after you've done tours, because the music's played in. So there's it's interesting, all that.
Yeah, I guess maybe the most basic argument would be it's fresh. If it's recorded before you gig it, by the end of, I don't know, a run of gigs, you're like, I don't want to play this music anymore.
You're sick of it. And you're sick of each other.
Sick of each other, exactly. The last thing you want to do is go into the studio for 2 days.
Well, Kind of Blue was done without any gigs.
Was it really?
Yeah, or without any rehearsals. Miles just got them together in the studio and gave them these little scraps of paper.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But no, I think with someone like Liam, I get a bit bored with jazz when it feels like it's in a stylistic area and people are worried about playing in a certain way. I mean, I just find that wretched, really.
Well, you're clearly of that mindset because your career's been like
all over the place.
All over the place.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. TV Shoes, another Malija track. Next we'll be moving on to making our own music.
Vibe we want, really.
Yeah.
Would we want a kind of angry vibe or a kind of a tranquil?
Well,
go.
Well, tranquil is often a more immediate result, isn't it? If you go down that road, which could be nice actually, like a saxophone choiry thing.
Yeah. I mean, we could just try some long notes and just do a couple of tracks of that and then perhaps collide them. You know what I mean? Collide the notes.
So what, like sort of maybe like clouds of different
exactly
clusters or something?
Yeah, think of it like that. So just kind of
that's exciting.
Notes and then a track of that, and then we could do another track of different notes.
Yeah.
And keep the vibe very kind of spacious and tranquil.
Like that. That would be brilliant.
Let me try some angry things, some storm things.
So we're going to do, weather report.
Yeah, weather report, yeah.
All right then. Yes.
So do another track of that. Got a vibey,
Yeah, that felt really good.
Nice sounding clouds. What about some kind of extreme kind of things? Some extreme noises. God knows how all this is going to go together.
It's part of the fun. We're going to get there. Always do.
Or we save the extreme stuff and we put kind of a rhythmic thing on it.
Yeah.
So how about something like this? Just repeat the line.
Yeah, it'd be good to have a line actually that just does
I'll
start to build something in. I love that. It's great. It makes sense of all the other things in such a strange way. Yeah, we could start throwing in something a bit more energetic, kind of like whispery, but with energy and intention that's bubbling under the surface.
Yeah.
Lowest, but soft, almost like. So Mark laid down that idea, and here we are, just listening through and making a few production changes.
What you could do on that bass line, boom, 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 we could put an octave divider on it and have it a low, so it's
definitely.
Could be quite interesting.
Absolutely up for that.
So it sounds more like a bass line.
One of my favourite things to do, anyway. So let's do that.
Choose one of those lines and loop it. So there's a.
Do you feel like they're too inconsistent, or because
this one might change the note, but it actually doesn't matter. Let's leave it for now. That.
If it's just that one, it's kind of nice. If you just like, there you go, that's one.
Oh, sounds great, man.
It's a bit more of the washy stuff, actually. Just check that out. Yeah.
Could go into something like that, couldn't it?
Definitely.
Can we just do that quickly?
So here we start building like a B section based around this riff and also this accompanying percussion part using some key noises on the sax. But after all that, and as you'll discover in a minute, we decided to actually like ditch creating this second part, although we do bring back what Mark is playing here in this riff into the earlier section. Anyways, we went back to the beginning and discussed what else we could add into the piece.
What about some sounds, like some kind of crispy kind of sounds,
like a mini drummer.
Yeah, but if we did them on the sax, would you be able to change the sound of them, like brighten them up into kind of
Definitely. If we did like loads of airy, phlegmy stuff, do you reckon that's a good starting point for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a great idea. If I just do a track of phlegm.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Do
you need to eat anything beforehand?
And then we can.
What's good?
I've got my lunch to help me.
Yeah.
Enough of that.
That last one. It's like you're boiling soup.
Boiling soup.
Cool. Right. That's about that then. That's brilliant.
It might be nice just to bring that in as a kind of texture over the
Yeah.
top, mightn't it?
Sound design time. So the phlegm track ended up sounding roughly like this. We then skipped right to the end again, taking this riff and tried to work it into the first section. Big fan. Could it then like kind of slow down as it leads into the next one?
So to sing it.
Yeah. So
let's try that.
Yeah.
Let's try that.
And then when it comes in full force, you're like, okay, we've got it. The piece there.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
maybe fill it with more ideas.
It works beautifully, actually, like that.
I reckon.
Because
we refine what we've got. There and don't go into another thing.
Yeah, man. It's really exciting. I mean, I wonder if that little cascade at the beginning, we could put some kind of delays on it and kind of.
We're on the same page.
Woo! Love that. Shall I put a few more of those?
Yeah, man. All that was left to do really was to just go through all the material we had, stagger in some of the elements so it wasn't all happening at once, do a bit of a mix, and that's it. So here it is. There you have it. Another episode, another piece in the bag. Loads of thanks to Mark for being the 5th guest on Excuse the Mess. What a great day. Really great to hang out with him. Such a nice guy. And it was great to just delve into lots of different aspects of his brilliant career. Keep an eye out for his album Brave World coming out later this year on Edition Records. The best way to do that is following Mark on Twitter at @mlockhartmusic, on Facebook, or his website marklockhart.co.uk. And finally, a big thanks to you for listening to Excuse the Mess. If you're a returning listener, then double thanks. If this is your first listen, then I hope you liked it and I hope you come back for more. Get subscribed and follow ETM on all the usual social media places. See you next time. This is Peepers by Polar Bear.